I just want you to know I did nearly trip and die falling over on a broken mirror that's on my floor. There's good reason for it, don't worry.
It shouldn't be on your floor, though.
It should, actually, for what I'm doing, for its current purpose.
I don't like that.
Let me do it again.
Intro the show, please.
Well, I tried, but Beth told me to do it better, so I'm going to do it better this time.
Well, she just meant don't squawk when that's the first thing the listener's going to hear.
Because they're just going to switch off straight away. They're literally going to hear, alarm, and turn off. I would.
No, they'll
be like, nope.
They'll hear that
Beth,
and
you
be
have
like,
the temperament of a swan sometimes. You have the temperament of a swan sometimes.
What? The temperament of a swan?
Yeah.
What are you on about? What?
They're quick to anger.
Me?
Quick to anger, and your wings can break a man's leg.
That is such bullshit.
Anyway.
About swans being able to break people's legs. That's bullshit.
No, swans are vicious, mate.
Yeah, swans are
Don't test
powerful.
them.
Do you know how powerful their
test a
wings
swan.
are?
They might have the ability, but why would they have the initiative to do that?
It's
Why
not
would
the
they want to
initiative,
do that?
it's the
or
venom.
the incentive.
They're horrible.
The incentive.
They're horrible animals.
beasts of the land.
Why does everyone hate swans?
Because they're rude.
He's not wrong.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yes, mate. Have you ever come one-on-one with a swan?
You ever seen their teeth?
They don't have. Swans do not have.
Swans
teeth.
have teeth.
It's time to present to the
No.
group. Google swan teeth.
I've always had really nice encounters with swans. They've always been pretty polite and they keep to themselves.
I've
and
only
they just
ever
wanna-
heard that from a Tory. So here we are.
Present
Anyway.
No. Swan teeth. Share.
Okay, oh God.
Oh God.
Yeah, they have teeth.
That
there.
is Photoshop.
It's
That's
not.
not.
It's got a tongue as well.
Yeah.
Tongue.
A tongue.
It's got a
Why would
razor
it have-
tongue.
Okay, I'm going to describe it for the listener.
Yeah, please.
This swan has a beady human eye with.
It's got the Daniel Craig eyes.
With a massive beak and rows of razor teeth, and then a tongue with added teeth on the tongue.
Yeah.
That is just. It's like someone's combined a great white shark
That's a swan.
and a swan. No.
Beth, look at that mouth.
Ugh.
That's a hell mouth.
That is horrible.
Yeah. If you want a
Swans
safe neighbourhood,
suck.
get rid of the swans. Because also then you're less likely to get a visit from the Queen at some point.
Of course, she would protect the swans, wouldn't
do you reckon
she?
the Queen has super glued every tooth onto every swan?
Yeah.
Yes.
In the
They're her
world.
own teeth. She has a never-ending supply of teeth.
Oh, that makes so much sense now.
Every swan has a mouthful of queen teeth.
Hello, and welcome to Forever in Bloom, a cinematic exploration, investigation, and celebration of Jeff Goldblum's career. Today,
And this is our guided meditation through The Fly.
today we are talking about The Fly. How was that for you, Beth? Relaxed enough?
That was-
NPR enough?
It was good. I feel very relaxed.
Very
Thank you.
NPR. Nice and professional.
Well, what you couldn't hear on the call, but our listeners could hear, is I held my microphone closer to the deep part.
This is
So that'll be
episode
good.
14.
Is
Episode
it?
14, film... Fuck, I don't even know anymore. Near the 20s. We're near 20, aren't we?
Yeah.
23?
I think we're 19, but... It's 19 or 20, I don't know. People
One of
will know
those.
that.
That doesn't
People
matter
will
anymore.
know.
No, it is. It's actually, it is. I can confirm it's film 20.
Wow.
Oi. Big 2-0.
And can I?
Big 2-0. We should do something special.
We did, Beth. We
Like-
watched The Fly.
I mean, we watch the film every week, but yeah. I meant like a cake or something.
Oh,
like
okay.
a fly-shaped cake.
How are we going to eat a cake over Google Meets?
Or a cake made of flies. I have enough flies in my house actually to make a cake out of. There's so many.
Yeah, I've
It's
got loads of fruit
disgusting.
flies as well. It's kind of greedy.
Yeah. Gross.
Can I just come out and say something?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best film we've watched.
Interesting.
I think I would maybe agree.
I think it's hard to disagree, personally, in my own humble
It's
opinion.
between that and Annie Hall.
Beth?
Okay, no, that was a joke.
Okay.
But
Actually,
For me, I really, really, really enjoyed this, but for me, Invasion of the Body Snatchers just pipped it for me.
pipped it.
okay.
Pipped it.
Well, we'll deal with that.
Yeah, you look
we'll
very
deal with that
unhappy
when we
about
get
that.
Well, I've got lots of juice and energy ready for this.
Cool. Let's kick off. If people don't know what the film The Fly is, I mean, this was actually my first time ever watching it.
Yeah, same.
It was one of those I should have watched, but kind of just knew through cultural osmosis. But Jeff plays Seth Brundle, a eccentric but extremely intelligent scientist that nearly won the Nobel Prize at 20, apparently. We have no idea what for. And he's working on teleportation, creates these telepods. When he's drunk one night, he decides to teleport himself. A fly gets in the machine, and all bullshit breaks loose.
Yeah.
That was a good introduction.
Yeah.
That was strong.
So some points I just want to come like straight off the dome with. Not a film to watch eating porridge. Number one. That was something I learned this morning.
There is a
Or
lot of goo.
any food, to
There
be
is a
honest.
lot of goo in this film.
Anything other than water is not to be
This
consumed
is-
during any Cronenberg film, I would advise, in general.
This is actually, I think, the first David Cronenberg film I've ever seen.
You're so uneducated, Liam.
Oh, mate. Sorry, I don't love French New Wave cinema.
What? How do you correlate David Cronenberg with French New Wave
No, I just know
cinema?
that's your jam.
It was a joke at your expense, Beth.
It is very much
That
my
was a
jam.
joke at you, not David.
I prefer this to the other ones I've seen. The other ones I've seen have the very, very similar vibe, but this is slightly more mainstream and commercial. But it really works because it still has his very unique directorial kind of uneasy, eerie, disgusting aesthetic.
Is there as much goo in his other films as there is this one?
Oh yeah, I mean,
So he has like a goo fetish like Tarantino has the foot
yeah,
fetish.
it's all body horror. It's all prosthetics throughout all of his films.
Did he have
pretty
any
much.
hand in Nickelodeon's Gak?
Nickelodeon's Gak?
Yeah, you know the whole phase that Nickelodeon went through where they just threw Gak at everyone? Anyone that won an award, any parent,
like-
any kid, gacked.
Over the head.
Do you mean to be saying Gak
Yeah.
right now?
It's called
Gak.
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 Gak?
Gak.
Don't make me get some footage, Beth.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you
Here
not
we go.
remember like Nickelodeon's
I only
like?
know Gak as nose beers. I don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
do you not know like
Beers.
like the the green goop that would get thrown on kids and adults in game shows?
Goop.
Gak.
Exactly, goop.
Gak.
Gak, stop saying Gak.
It's Gak.
Goop.
Slime time, baby.
Well, it's not really like fun novelty Gak, is it really? It's more kind of completely disturbing, almost realistic. But
If
not
it helps,
quite.
the vomit was made out of honey, eggs, and milk, so it probably was really warm.
Ooh.
That sounds like one of the worst things I could possibly hold in my mouth, actually.
And probably your body knowing your various weaknesses.
Yes.
It also sounds like something they'd sell at Lush to put in the bath.
A Gak bath
I would
bomb.
lap that shit up. I made a comment. I wrote a note about the fact that David Cronenberg has this really interesting way of bringing their performance out of actors as being slightly wooden to begin with. And then when he starts to introduce aliens or like prosthetics or like non-human like beings, they have so much more personality.
Yeah, like
And
Jeff's
they're so
physical
much more
acting in this
real.
is so good when he gets like full
It's
fly.
amazing. But the fact that he becomes more realistic when he's covered in all that makeup and he's basically a morphed, like a metamorphosis, a fly. The fact that he's more real then than he ever is at the start when he looks like a normal human man, I just think that's really clever, really
No,
really
it is, yeah.
effective.
The physical side of it. There was a couple of times where I questioned whether they'd actually just got like a different actor in, because I'd never really seen Jeff do much of this like really physical kind of body horror style stuff.
Yeah.
But he absolutely smashes it. I mean, he was wearing like 5 pounds of prosthetics at one point, I think, in the movie, so it was pretty fucking heavy.
Wow.
There's also
It's
that
like
cool
5
scene
hours
where
to
he does
apply.
parkour, which I thought was, radical.
I found that absolutely hilarious when he's crawling all over the walls.
I think it's really funny that it's like that it's David Cronenberg's interpretation of like the first initiative we have that he's morphing into a fly is the fact that he's just incredibly limber and starts doing gymnastics in the
Okay,
middle of
so
the night.
I have written
What's
down.
that got to do with being a fly?
I have written down what, if according to this film, are a fly's characteristics.
Okay.
And they are being an Olympic level gymnast, an extreme obsession of sugar, you're a jabbering asshole, you have fits of narcissistic rage, you have wild and absolutely wild sexual appetite, and you have juice shooting tips.
Oh. I mean, have you ever seen a fruit fly?
Regurgitates.
That's true. Well, that is how flies eat.
Yeah.
They vomit on it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed because I rewatched the film. I was, when you rewatch it and you're just kind of not really paying attention, you're just kind of flipping through it. I did that earlier, and certain bits really like jumped out at me. And it was when they were in the car in the very first like 3-minute opening, and he says, "Oh, I used to have terrible nausea as a kid. When I was a child, I threw up on my bike." And I was like, "That's such a random thing to say." And I remember it like stabbing me in the head when I first watched it. Like, why is that line there?
What?
And I'm thinking like, oh, he obviously went back through the script after the whole fly thing was like involved in there, and then like tried to sew in all these completely like.
Well, I guess that kind of added into his like
unrelated-
motivation of why he was working on
Yeah.
teleportation, because he hates every level of transport.
Yeah, he
doesn't
gets motion
Like, he
sick.
says
Oh
it
no,
makes
that
him
makes
really
way
sick.
more sense actually. Yeah. I thought it was like a what's it called? Like a
Chekhov's
Pre-
gun sort of thing, like foreshadowing,
yeah,
like
kind of
vomiting
like
about
as
stuff.
if he was gonna consume a bike. He'd like throw up on it. No, because they eat it and then they throw up and then they.
I mean,
no,
I've
it's
never
like
seen a
this-
fly try and consume a bike.
Yeah, no, that makes absolutely no sense.
But that is a
now
really
I'm
weird image,
vocalising
though,
it.
isn't it? Of like a young kid biking his heart's content and just vomiting as he's going down a hill on a bike. But this is our third iteration of Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah,
We get him on a piano again.
Immediately, he's just like having a little noodle, and I was like, as soon as that happened, I felt like I was embraced, and I was
Yeah.
just like I was
We're
brought
back in a
into the
Jeff
whole
film,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Any
a
chance to
warm
get a
greeting.
piano onto set? It's beautiful.
I
I
just
quite
like
rate how there's like no fucking around at the beginning of this film.
Oh, yeah.
Like they just are straight into the meat of the story, you know?
That's typical Cronenberg.
Yeah, and you pick up all the character things along the way, which is better. Which is
Yeah.
why this film is a tight hour and a half.
Also, incredibly abrupt ending. Like, there's no new established like
Yeah.
safe equilibrium. It's just like
Blows his
completely
brains
like.
out.
Yeah, it's absolute climax and gore and like bloody death, and then just the end credits. I kind
very
of rate
good.
it.
No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, very abrupt in the beginning and end. But I found that like Jeff's character in the first couple of scenes was a lot cooler than his hair alluded that he was.
Well, on the flip side, I think you would find that hair would have made him very cool when this film came out.
Really?
Didn't you think there was something weird going on but the fact that Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum look very similar, and also they were dating in real life at this time.
A lot of people say that.
When they actually married, I
partners that
think.
are similar to you. No, they married a year after this. but
I
they were-
see.
they were
I
together at
see.
this point. He actually got her the role. He told David that she was perfect for it, and he was like apprehensive to work with a couple. But once he read for it, they tried a bunch of other people, and they were like, "Yeah, no one does it as well as she does."
To be fair,
She smashes this,
She
to be
smashed
fair.
it. She's. I mean, Jeff's great, but she was great in this whole film.
Jeff's performance kind of just get stronger. It gets a bit weirder in the middle, but gets a bit stronger as it kind of goes along
Yeah.
the whole way through this.
Yeah. And also, can we talk about the name of the editor? Did you write it down?
Stathis Borans.
What a name! It's like Seth and then Stathis. Really good.
And Veronica Quaife? Quaff?
Well, I quite like Ronnie as her nickname.
Yeah,
That was good.
everyone just calls her Ronnie. Yeah, I didn't actually know her name was Veronica until I looked on IMDb.
Ah.
I just thought it was Ronnie. Seth has achieved cartoon character levels of living by just wearing that same outfit every day.
Which honestly, I'm envious of. Actually, I think I might need
And
to.
Seb, to add to your Bloomiverse, there is a thing I found that, he references that he doesn't like to wake up. He doesn't want to like wake up every morning wondering what he's going to wear, which in Michael Critton's novel of Jurassic Park, Ian Malcolm says the exact same thing.
Ah,
That
okay.
He doesn't like to think about what he's wearing each day, so he always wears that like black and grey get up that he does.
Ah, do we know if he says that in the film as well?
I don't know. I
Well,
can't remember.
we
We
will
will find out.
We'll find out in approximately a year or something. But yeah, I had a good time. I liked the body horror. I liked how wet and sticky everything was.
I'm surprised you did. You're not really a big body horror man.
Now, that's not entirely correct. I actually am a physical horror myself, and because of that, no, I dislike body horror that goes for like just sort of shock and grossness, which is usually I found in things where it's another person looking at someone else's horrific bodily whatever's going on. Whereas what I find really interesting is the like psychological thing of Jeff discovering his own body like a teenage boy, but he's actually a giant fly man. And the sort of
So you're
like
telling me this is a puberty story for you?
yeah, this is actually a puberty story. This is a coming of age tale. But like the bit where he's like pulling his fingernails off and Gak
That was
comes
bad.
out.
I didn't like the fingers being pulled off, and then the human Gak, the juice shooting from his fingertips.
Yeah, it did make me feel bad, but narratively and like as a thing, I was like, I'm into it.
I love this film so much.
Yeah.
Like, I really, really, really enjoyed this film. I enjoyed it both times I watched it, and I gained. It wasn't like some films where you watch them a second time and you're noticing loads of like things that the director's like implanted in that to like build the world or anything. But I still really, really just enjoyed the journey so much, and I felt like it wasn't trying to say anything particularly profound. It was very much just like a simple story, but told really well with really really well thought out characters that developed and changed and fought for themselves. And
I mean, I didn't really like what is Stathis Borans. I thought he was a bit of a douche. Didn't really
Is
change.
that the ex-boyfriend?
Yeah, the publisher and ex.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't really have much to do. Well, he did, but he was kind of just like an opposition at every turn.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No
The
matter-
only negative I have, and I guess this falls in craft, is so I took off like 1.5 basically, and it was solely because I felt like the scenes involving Veronica and her ex did feel like structural filler. It almost felt like there wasn't quite enough padding in this film.
It felt like a different film. It didn't really need to be in there.
Yeah, it was kind of a drama kind of story, wasn't it, between them and their relationship? But we didn't care about the relationship because we cared about Jeff Goldblum turning into a fly.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
they did. I don't know whether it was like they didn't have the budget to be able to expand on that more and show. Because I kind of wish there was more of the transition, of him basically derailing and falling into this turmoil pit.
There
I
were
wish there
quite
was
a
more.
few scenes that were cut out of this because they didn't like test well. There's quite an infamous one, which was a cat monkey scene where Brundlefly, to try and test the like fusion machine, the gene splicing machine he makes at the end, he fuses a cat and a baboon, and then when it comes out all fucked up, he beats it to death with a lead pipe.
Why did they cut that out?
Because apparently, according to the producer Stuart Cornfield, the audience felt that there was no turning back for Seth, and they lost all sympathy for his plight, which caused the rest of the film to not play well. In Cornfield's own words, if you beat an animal to death, even a monkey cat, your audience is not going to be interested in your problems anymore.
I mean, to be honest, I lost a bit of sympathy for him when he said the line, "You're too chicken shit to be part of the dynamic duo."
Yeah.
I think
And my respect for him went down.
I think his
quite a lot.
performance in this is honestly impeccable.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like there's a lot of just like random explosions and
One of my
He,
favorite.
he pulls it back. He pulls it
Yeah.
back because he goes into full arsehole mode. And when he brings that random woman back from the bar and literally like carries her up the stairs to his flat
he's
and
trying
then
to
treats
force
her
her
like a
into
cunt.
the telepod machine because he believes
what the fuck?
he believes he's like a god now because he feels amazing and is an Olympic level gymnast.
but also has...
That's so fucking classic people to be like, no, we won't let him beat up an animal with a lead pipe, but we'll let him abuse a woman and force her into a teleportation machine that we all know is going to turn her into some weird fly hybrid.
Well, it's only because obviously the fly got in there. It probably would have been absolutely fine for her.
Well, and I think that's actually like the most interesting tragedy of this entire thing, which is that in the first 27 minutes before something goes wrong, you could believe that this is a great science film about a cool thing happening. And then it's just
and the thing is, he did invent teleportation. He did it.
Yeah. He did do it.
It fucked up.
But it's proper grassroots science, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's there's no professional clinical lab.
Well, yeah, he specifically said that like he doesn't really know loads. It was like the minutiae of everything. He'll just contact a dude and be like, make me this quantum laser, and then it'll come back and he'll just put it together. And it shows like the difference in what it was like, I guess, or if it's just this fantasy that he's created about funding, because all of us know how ridiculous funding applications and getting and keeping funding is.
But you know what?
He's just like, yeah, they give me money, they leave me alone, it's not too expensive, it's fine.
So yes and no, that exists. That fully exists. When you're at that level of like billionaire tech company, and it exists still nowadays, but it did also exist in like a much bigger way back in the 80s and 70s. And, like I know someone who is in a relatively similar situation and gets paid roughly £12,000 every month to just experiment with stuff.
That's mad.
And he doesn't do that much. I'm not going to say his name, but...
You just put him on blast. Just dox him, Seb.
I mean, he's lovely. He did provide... Don't worry about it. Let's move on. But
I wonder how many baboons Seth Jeff has killed.
He apologized to the baboon. He said sorry. He said sorry for killing your brother, and the monkey looked directly in his eyes.
What is interesting is on the trivia thing where it mentions about the cat monkey, it specifically says that Brundlefly fuses a cat and the remaining baboon. So did he just buy like a job lot of like 40 baboons and he's just been slowly making his way through them, just mincing them all?
Yep, slowly turning them inside out.
I really want to see that scene. Do you reckon if we buy the DVD it would be on the bonus disc?
Maybe. Yeah. Jeff did actually write a letter to Vincent Price, who I believe made the original 1958 version.
Wait, there was an original?
Yeah, this was a 1958 original, yeah. It was like based off that, basically. I'm surprised I didn't watch that version. Yeah, I did think about that.
And B, I want to watch that. I thought this was the original.
I think this is like a reworking, like a retelling kind of thing. It's not a complete remake. But Jeff wrote Vincent Price a letter saying, I hope you like it as much as I liked yours. And Price said he was touched by the letter and he composed a reply after he went to see the film. And he said it was wonderful right up to a certain point and then it went a little too far.
Oh, I wonder what point. I wonder what point that was.
Probably
womb worm.
When he maybe the womb worm, the womb maggot.
Oh no! You know what? That was my favorite scene. I love anything involving birth and horror, and it keeps popping up. It has popped up in like 6 films that I've watched recently.
My guess is it would be when like he went full fly and it became the puppet. When it like broke out of the skin, which the practical effects on that are stellar.
Yeah,
I mean in the very last scene.
Yeah, when he like breaks out of the prosthetics
and like becomes, the skull breaks and like, it looked fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, what was quite interesting is that I was always looking at every time that something went right. All that would really happen is Jeff would have like no reaction to it, but the baboon would run and jump in his arms.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was a good bond between those two because baboons are still genuinely wild animals. You can never like fully tame them. And I looked into it, and apparently David Cronenberg was terrified of the baboon, whose name was Typhoon, and it said it was like very much still a wild animal. And in like a special features documentary, one of the special effects or like visual effects supervisors was saying that at one point it got like startled by the flashing lights in the telepod and like broke the door off to get out. And the 2 people that were in charge of like dealing with it were the animal wrangler and Jeff, because he's 6'4" and has like quite a big build and was like quite a big guy, so he was actually able to like like dominate the baboon kind of thing. If it got out of control, he could like not wrestle it, but you know what I mean? Like, he was one of the only people on set that was like able to like kind of keep it under control, and because of that, they genuinely had like a big relationship that was formed between him and the baboon. They said that most of those scenes with it would have not been possible to be shot if it wasn't for like Jeff doing a bunch of work beforehand and kind of like making this bond with the
Working
baboon.
with animals is so hard. It's so difficult.
Tell me about it. I want to show with you
expensive.
two. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cronenberg's
That was
quote.
a low blow. So.
Cronenberg's quote says that they're very volatile and there's no such thing as a tame baboon. Jeff, because he was much bigger and stronger than the baboon, was able to dominate him, and the baboon's wrangler said it was a good thing that the baboon formed the relationship, otherwise there would have been big trouble on the set with some of the female members of the crew. So it looks like the baboon maybe was trying to fuck everyone, and Jeff was able to dominate it and stop him fucking everyone.
Can you imagine Jeff like going into protection mode if that baboon tried it on with Gina Davis?
That's exactly
Can
what
you
would have
imagine?
happened, mate. That's exactly. He would have wrestled that fucking baboon to death, mate. That's why it was the
I'm not
remaining
surprised
baboon.
he was so dominant.
There is a wild quote from Jeff when he's giving one of those like early maniacal monologues to Gina. It's when he says that she isn't whatever enough to be part of the dynamic duo. He says,
"Drink deep or taste not the plasma spring." See what I'm saying? I'm not just talking about sex and penetration. I'm talking about penetration beyond the veil of the flesh. A deep, penetrating dive into the plasma pool.
Also, I did like at the beginning how he did invite her back for a cappuccino.
wow.
Yeah, and where is this cappuccino? She never gets it. So he's
She
falsely entrapped her.
never gets it.
We see him with a
Never.
cappuccino spooning mountains of sugar into it in like a couple of scenes afterwards.
And she looks horrified by that. But let me tell you, as someone who has worked in that industry in coffee shops, people just do that.
Yeah,
People just put
they
like
do.
9 sugars into their cup of coffee, and it's wild.
Something I will say, I
Yeah.
don't like it. I find it really gross when we see couples who we know are fucking in real life and they fuck on screen, because there's like a 1% chance that they are actually penetrating. I don't like there's that slim chance.
But he's going for
exists.
penetration deeper than the flesh, Beth.
Deeper than the flesh.
I actually love that whole spiel.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
I absolutely love the 80s trope of like an overly dramatic arm wrestle. I'm here for that.
Just like
Any
snaps
point
the
in
man's
any
wrist.
film. Yeah. Which I don't know why he's strong like bull. Like flies aren't really known for being really strong, are they?
Isn't it something
Yeah,
about insects
I think
being
they
like
are.
much stronger than their body mass or something?
It's the fact that they're so small, but if they were human size, they would have like way more
relative
mega strength.
kind of thing.
Yeah, than we would. You know, like
Fair.
if grasshoppers were human size, they could jump from the Eiffel Tower or some shit. I don't know. That basically.
Cool as hell.
That thing. Yeah.
I've often thought about exoskeletons being better than flesh, actually.
I don't want to get into this with you again.
Okay.
So, yeah, that is after that like dramatic arm wrestle where he goes out. He storms off after that monologue saying that Gina Davis will never be a part of the dynamic duo. He needs to go find someone that can keep up with his insatiable sex lust. And he goes out, arm wrestles a dude in a pub to prove his worth, takes that woman home, who's the one he tries to force into the pod. But as they're leaving the bar, she says,
Are you a bodybuilder or something?
Yeah, I build bodies.
it's such a weird fucking thing to say.
Yeah. He does
What
a
does
lot
he
of
even
good.
mean by that?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, no,
Because he doesn't.
No, he's the next line. He says they take them apart and put them back together again very quickly.
Oh, I guess like, is it the teleportation's
Oh.
disintegrating them?
It's
and then reforming them,
disintegration
isn't it?
and reconstitution.
Nice.
Read a
He
book.
says it's you know when Jesus, you know when they transportate, is that a word? Transportate.
Definitely not.
Transport.
Transport the meat.
Oh, yeah.
The
Teleport.
the rashes.
Yeah, teleport the steak.
They teleport. You know when they teleport the steak.
Yeah.
The scientific jargon that he uses to explain it is so convincing. He basically says it's like the second, like when it regenerates, that's it. That's what he's created, the machine's interpretation of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
steak. And she says this doesn't taste right. And that's just like really nice foreshadowing for the fact that obviously he does it to himself. Obviously, like the whole fly thing anyway.
Yeah.
It's the fact I like the idea that it's like his own creations, like imitation of what Seth would be, and obviously he's just so not what he is before.
Yeah. Well, I guess because that's like the base science, I guess, about, or like theoretical science around teleportation, is that you would have to be like completely destroyed and pulled apart, like atom by atom, and then essentially it will be a copy of you the other side.
Yeah.
It would
And
not be the real you.
I usually don't buy into films too much. Usually more in the falling into the sci-fi genres where it can. I don't usually like it where it mixes in a load of bullshit with like some real science, because I find that just quite unsatisfying. I usually like it to be one or the other, but in this kind of horror genre, I think it really it kind of adds to it to make it seem a little bit more real and convincing. You kind of invest in it more, and it makes the payoff a bit more haunting.
True. So yeah, we have Gina kind of comes and goes and visits old Brundlefly, Seth Jeff, as he. And there seems to be like quite a few time jumps in this film.
At least one of them is like 6 weeks or something.
Yeah, at one point he's like, I've wanted to see you in the last 4 weeks or whatever, and she comes over and he's got loads of prosthetics on, is all fucked. And then she goes home and tells, I can never remember his fucking Stathis Morans, that she's pregnant. And because she's now seen what he looks like, she's scared of whatever is in her. I'd like to point out that she storms into the house and sits on a dining chair in the bathroom next to the toilet. What in the entire fuck is that about?
I had one of those in a house growing up.
Why?
Bathroom chair.
The poop observation deck. What does it mean?
It's like you have a kid in the bath and you don't want to sit on the toilet, but you want to sit next to the bath, you know?
Sure. They don't have kids, so they're just watching each other poop.
Yeah, why not? Sometimes it's like a buddy cup, but I'm not gonna carry on that sentence.
But then, I'm going to completely steam past that. Then they go into this like dream sequence, which you don't know is a dream sequence until she wakes up. Is that she's going through labor, or they're trying to go through like the abortion process, but there's this fat maggot inside her that comes out, and the surgeon is really weird in that whole situation. He's like leaning over and like pushing down on her uterus and just being like, come on, push, come on, push. Like he's just completely out of like the way someone should be fucking acting in that situation.
Yeah.
They put a weird like tremolo on Brundlefly's voice.
Yeah.
Towards the end, there's a bit like...
Yeah, and the machine doesn't recognise his voice anymore.
It's terrifying, isn't it?
It's really cool. It's quite an easy thing to do, but it's really, really cool. And
I like
effective.
He's very funny. This is a funny film.
It's not. I don't know how it's supposed to be.
No, there are clearly bits where he's talking about how his bathroom cabinet has become the Natural History Museum of Seth Brundle. Like it's.
You know when his ear falls off. The like reaction shot of Gina Davis is like her genuine reaction, because I don't know if she knew that ear was supposed to fall off or not, but apparently it's like she's genuinely shocked, and it was the first time she'd saw it, and David Cronenberg kept that take.
I think there really is something about like genuine shock on faces that can sometimes be hard to replicate. So I think I know of like a number of directors who have scared people in that way.
Michael Keaton was also offered the role of Brundle.
Interesting.
And our old friend John Lithgow auditioned for the role as well.
I bet he did.
No way.
Do you think he did it with his Italian accent?
I hope not. His Mussolini
He would have smashed
style
it, to
shit.
be fair.
Yeah, John Lithgow is a don.
Yeah.
But I was kind of hoping, as fucked up as it is, to see the prosthetics of the cat monkey. I was hoping that was going to be in there.
I mean, we can just imagine that which end, or was it like a monkey centaur and like had like?
Wait, so he combined both of them together.
Yeah, so it was like him, you know, the gene fusing, gene splicing machine he has at the end. That his goal was to like put a pure human in one, put him in the other, and that would hopefully fix him and make him more human than Fly. It was a scene to show him like testing the new gene splicer by putting a monkey and a cat, or baboon and a cat in either one of them, and then they come out fused, and he's terrified of the result. It's probably some goopy, horrible fucking mess comes out.
Do you not think it would just be like a cat with monkey arm and legs? Because I'd like one of those.
That's horrible.
If my cat was like that, he would be incredible.
The cat that can hug back.
Yeah. Or a cat that could punch me if I wanted him to, or if he needed to, you know?
They would constantly.
Or is that
Cats don't need fists.
or would you rather have just like a little monkey body with just a tiny cat head on it?
Both awful. Both awful.
I think great, but okay. I was also
True
picturing
Bloom.
it with wings, and I don't know where they came from.
True Bloom. I gave
No,
it,
Liam, I
5
want
out
to
of
talk
10.
about a cat and a monkey with wings.
Where are the wings coming from?
That's what I said. I don't know where they came from. Maybe there was a fly in there.
Fuck's sake.
Oh my god. I gave this 10 out of 10 for True Bloom. 5
I gave it 5 out of 10.
out of 10? Are you on crack?
I'll give it 6 out of 10.
This is so Jeff. This is like the highest Jeff energy we've had.
I'm fully on board with Beth. I'm
No,
sorry.
but it's not just about how much we see of him in real life in the role. It's about how much he brings to the role, right? And it's about how his energy translates through the role that he's given.
I always thought it was how close he is to his actual self, the true Bloom.
I think it's somewhere between the two, which is that the Jeff that we see in our real physical meat world, that's like our interpretation, like what he presents to us, and like the Jeff in the films is like maybe how he presents to other people, and we're trying to find. For all we know, now get ready for like some mind blowing stuff here. For all we know, we're in one of his films.
Oh.
So True Bloom could be as true as he is in The Fly, or in the other films that we've watched, all of which I've forgotten. No, we could be in one. We're in The Fly too. You don't know that we're not.
The Fly 2.
Yeah.
It's already a film.
Okay, we're in The Fly 3. Revenge time. Revenge
Revenge time. The Fly 3. Revenge time.
So that's why I gave this 9.
Do you think he did his own stunts? Do you reckon he did all that flipping and
Yeah,
flipping?
did you not know that he's
I
an
looked back
Olympic
a few times.
gymnast?
It's definitely not him.
Definitely not him. Body double. He has
Yeah.
quite a few body doubles, doesn't he? For like really simple things like running.
Because he
He doesn't know
cannot
how to run.
Go and look at The Amazing World, The World According to Jeff Goldblum, the episode about sneakers. He goes to a Nike factory and he physically can't run.
Yeah, he doesn't-
The guy
he
keeps
doesn't do
telling
it
him,
right.
"Can you stop bopping? Can we do it with less bop?" And he's like, "I don't know what you mean."
It's because he's part fly. So
And he's
not
literally
used to
just like
running.
bopping down this thing as they're trying to like measure how he runs. And the dude's like, "Honestly, I've never seen this in the whole time I've worked at this place." Dude can't run.
Okay.
And that brings me closer to Jeff than anyone else currently.
No, I'm still giving that 6. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
well that's fine. You're
That is
allowed to
just-
be wrong.
It's subjective. want the podcast
I
of
gave
yes
this a
men, we've
10
spoken
out
of
of
this.
enjoyment.
A 10 out of enjoyment.
I
I
really had a great time.
gave it 8.
I gave it a 9.
I gave it an 8.
Okay.
I think a 10 is like perfection. And I just don't know if anything is really perfect.
A 10 for me is a film that I will watch over and over again, no matter how many times I've seen it. And even if I
Like-
watched it yesterday, I'll watch it again.
Like
So I can
Miles
tell you
Tracks.
now, I will be giving 10 for Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park's great.
Spoilers.
I do think this sits in like a very elite category of like films that could possibly be called masterpieces.
It is a masterpiece. It is also just such a classic. And
Yeah.
it's got this whole niche, like culty, like underground following, but it's also like a family pleaser. Do you know what I mean? It's so rare.
It is
that
great.
A film
but
can
it
be.
isn't without some of its like pacing issues and like and story filler.
Yeah.
I feel there's, like you said, there was maybe more of an interesting things they could have had on screen that they decided to have off screen while we were looking at fat maggots being born.
Wait, Matt, are you dissing the fat maggot?
No, it was just the first scene that wasn't Jeff that came to my mind.
I mean,
I
he's
love that maggot scene.
The fat maggot scene's fine. It's more about like all the pointless stuff between Gina Davis and Stathis.
Yeah.
and like I do get what they were going for there. So I accept the criticism. I'm still giving it a 10. I'm afraid
Wait, was that for enjoyability?
it was indeed.
Oh. I'll still give it an 8. No, sorry, it was on 7. I've got to stick with that.
Okay.
7. My craft was 8.
Okay.
There's something I found actually with like David Cronenberg films in general. It's like they're really like you talk to someone about a David Cronenberg film, and you'll talk about the main, like the artistic style or like the strengths or like the weird like uniqueness of the film.
Yeah.
And then you watch the film, like I watched Naked Lunch, and the main thing you take away from it is typewriters made of flesh that rape each other, which is obviously insane. But then you watch the actual film, and it's just a series of quite dull conversations between middle-aged white men, and then with the occasional.
That's literally every
rapey
film we've
typewriter.
watched in the 80s.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I feel like maybe David Cronenberg, to an extent, felt trapped within the pressures of having to create a slightly kind of normal film that perhaps fit in with a lot of the other films that were around and being made in the 80s, so that he could get away with these bold ideas. Exactly.
Yes. No, I see that. So yeah, craft I give 8 out of 10 because, especially for the time, it's like fucking bang on, and the design of the pods is awesome. The prosthetics are incredible. So
I gave it 8.5. I feel like sometimes you can kind of see the budget, and sometimes
the puppet
I'm
at the
aware
grate
of where
is a
the
bit
budget's
whack.
gone. What was that?
The puppet at the end wasn't the best. Like, it's when you see just like the shots of the legs, it's like very obvious that it's dude just holding sticks.
Yeah.
Just like moving around like it has no weight to it whatsoever, you know?
Oh,
Like,
it's quite charming though.
yeah.
I kind of like it. I love how like 80s it is.
But I think because of how kind of Jeff played it before was quite like heavy, and like his limbs were listing around a lot, and it's like he didn't have loads of control over his body, it felt. But then just seeing these like half floating legs like drifting across the screen kind of took me out of that for a sec.
I mean, it's just like obviously there's no Jeff left in it then. It's
Yeah,
supposed
yeah.
to be
Yeah, but I
all
just felt like
fly.
because there's weight to like his performance, and then suddenly like
Yeah.
the creature's just weightless, you know?
He should have like operated it or something.
Yeah.
To
Maybe.
get some of his sort of
give it-
eccentricities to come through.
Yeah.
or think about that actually. He added a lot of the ticks and like twitching that he had into the character because he knew that could be translated into the puppetry later on.
Ah.
He's a
And
good
also-
actor, isn't he?
He is a really good actor, and a couple of the monologues. I think the one monologue he has with Ronnie when they're Gina Davis's character when they're sat having a coffee, when he's just spoon feeding sugar into his mouth, basically. Only half of that monologue was written, and he himself wrote the rest of it the night before because he felt he could bring more to the character in that scene. So there's quite a lot of Jeff actually, of him like producing this character himself.
There's some high
I
Jeff
really
content.
rate that. I feel like this is the film that he seemed the most earnestly committed to the role.
Yeah.
He's carried it completely.
Well, this is why it kind of kicked everything off for him, wasn't it? Because his career was like pre and post Fly, basically.
Beth, my dear,
Yes.
what's your enjoyability score?
It's 9 out
It's
of 10.
it was the last number I need. Now, do you want to know how far ahead of the number 2 film this is? Because this is number 1.
Yeah, I knew that would be. Number 2 is Invasion now, I guess, right?
It is, and this has a 15-point lead,
Whew.
Whoa. Nice.
which is a big boy lead. Because
Yeah, there's-
75.5 out of
yeah,
100. Is that out of 100?
it's out of 100.
Out
Is
of
it?
90.
It's out of 90.
90. It's a high score.
Yeah.
It's a very high score.
Liam, if you could do me a favour and add some like pinball machine high score sounds right there, thank you.
Done.
Also, I just want you to know when I was just filling in the spreadsheet and I couldn't see you two and I could just hear your voices, I had to remind myself that we were still recording and I wasn't listening to us later. I
That's so meta.
was nearly just like nodding along, like, yeah, that was a smart thing Beth said earlier, and then then I remembered. It's
So I think
happening
you're having
right
heat
now.
stroke.
Yeah, well, it's
I think I've been having heat stroke for like 3 days.
yeah, it sucks. It's bad.
Taglines, gaglines. 3
Gaglines.
taglines. Two are written by me. One's the actual one of the film. Here we go. First one. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Second one, he's about to change life as we know it. Third one, half man, half monster, total fuck machine.
Oh, number 3. It has to be number 3. Total fuck machine.
I swallowed my drink as you said that. You nearly just got a POV of being, like, barfed on by Jeff. Except it's me and it was water.
Oh, mate, I'm glad. You did dip out of the screen very quickly.
I thought you'd been ejected, but it had gone the other way.
Yeah, just like dropped through the floor, like, whoa! That was a good visual gag that the listeners won't ever get to see. I wonder
do you want to hear them again?
how aggressively do you think I could be pulled out from the bottom of my screen if I just like... I
This is an audio medium.
I can't get low enough. Oh, anyway, carry on. I'll do that. I'll practice that, don't worry.
Can you practice doing that thing where it looks like you're walking down the stairs to the pantry?
I don't know how low I have to go.
That was really good, actually.
Thank you. I spend lots of time staring at myself and walking into the pantry, so...
This is quality audio.
It's definitely not the third one. It's definitely not.
No, I think it is the third one.
You think it's half man, half monster, total fuck machine?
How can it not be that?
How can it be that?
Wait, are you telling me it's not that?
No, I'm not telling you anything.
I think it's number 2.
He's about to change life as we know it.
Yeah, because it's, like, kind of clever, because, like, changing life, like, in the big picture sense, like, oh, we don't have to use cars anymore. But also he's, like, changing life, you know? From monkey and cat into monkey cat. No.
Right. So which one's he going for? Be afraid, be very afraid. He's about to change life as we know it. Half man, half monster, total fuck machine.
2.
Numero tres.
I like your commitment.
You're both wrong, as always. It's be afraid, be very afraid.
That's bad.
Oh my god, that's awful.
Beth, I can't believe you thought that in 1985 they would allow total fuck machine in the front of the
It's
fly.
so gauche, I wouldn't expect it to come out of your head.
You know nothing about my head.
I've heard things.
Nothing of the world I inhabit.
I feel like we skimmed over the fact that we have a new winner.
Yeah, it's the big...
leaderboard.
Did you not hear the pinball, the pinball high score?
Yeah, Beth, I specifically asked Liam to put in pinball noises. Were you not listening?
I feel like we need a celebration. We need a cake, a fly cake.
That's the thing,
Back
isn't
around.
it? Those biscuits that old people call fly... You know the ones? They have raisins in, and old people say they have flies in, but they're raisins.
Guys, I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm too hot.
Yeah, I think
Too
we're
hot.
slipping into sweaty delirium.
I'm dripping.
So maybe,
I don't know if you can see that, but I'm actually dripping.
I think it's maybe time to call it. New top film. New top film.
It's,
Yay.
big J on top.
Gross. What are we watching next? Let me look.
That's your job. Oh, also, he's in it for 40.
didn't do-
He's in it for 49 minutes. About an
Guys,
hour
we
and
didn't
32.
we didn't even do the fucking bit. Seb's fucking bit.
Yeah, it's fine.
The namesake.
Oh,
Forever and
yeah,
Bloom.
Seb, Bloomiverse.
Oh,
Bloomverse.
this one's easy, isn't it?
Is it?
We've spoken.
Do you just make it up on the spot?
Sometimes.
You can't just say that and expect the listeners to fill in your fucking job on this podcast.
Well, you know, like we've spoken before, he's learning all the different sciences.
You've got to bring more than this,
He's
mate.
learning he takes his turns learning different sciences this time. It's biology. Was this before or after the pretend hearts? We don't know.
Me and Liam pay you internship rates to come on here and give us your Bloomiverse, the thesis, thoughts.
I pay £20 a month to host your lack of effort
Yeah.
garbage.
I'm next week I'm paying £45 for our web domains. It's been a year since we registered.
You mean the ones that we have not used?
I know,
and done
right? I know, but if I don't pay for them, we won't have them anymore.
Stop spending money on this.
So Seb's decided to phone it in, so we're going to completely abandon the Bloomiverse
I
this
told
week.
you.
Yeah, but it wasn't real.
Okay, no, you shut your mouth. All right, bud. Jeff Goldblum is studying various sciences. We know that at the beginning of this film, they were like, he nearly got a Nobel Prize when he was very young, age 20. Do we know how old do we know how old he was in Threshold?
No.
Let's say
fresh.
20. Let's say he was 19 in that film, and immediately afterwards he turns 20 and he nearly wins the
You're
Nobel
just bending
Prize.
this to your will now.
For
the integrity of the Bloomiverse is ruined.
No, this is how actual. If you can't see it, but right here there's a big board and with lots of red string on it.
They said, "Why don't you show me that board?"
It's really weird. Like whenever I turn my camera that way, it turns off. So he's won the Nobel Prize for developing hearts, and then like being really boasty about it around the kids, because that's what he at the beginning of the film he was like, "You can't tell which one of these girls isn't real anymore because she has a fake heart,"
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, I got confused in the films there.
And then
That wasn't Jeff Goldblum. That was the
Donald
guy.
Sutherland.
Donald
oh,
Sutherland.
you're right. That was Donald Sutherland. Anyway, so he wins the Nobel Prize, and then he's like, "Well,
He doesn't. He doesn't.
No, he does.
No,
he
they said
almost
he almost won
did,
it.
and he didn't. And
You're on thin ice, mate. You're
and
struggling.
and that made him bitter. So he was like, "Well, I've got to show them. I've got to do something that'll change the world. And also, I hate being in cars or on bikes." So then The Fly happened.
Wow, man. I want you to take a long, hard look at yourself, all right, before the next episode. I just want you to know if you're putting in everything that you could.
Yeah.
Don't answer now. Don't answer now. I don't want to hear it. This is for the quiet times, for you.
Okay.
Well, you in the night times when you think. I want you to really ask yourself if you're putting in your maximum effort into this, mate.
Do you know what? That's quite a compliment that you believe that I think in the night times.
Right. Next time we're watching Beyond Therapy, which is another. Oh no, it's a Robert Altman film.
Oh, no!
So we'll talk about this more next week. But last weekend I watched another Robert Altman film, and it sucked.
Jesus. This is a few unusual characters in there. Unconventional therapists cross paths, resulting in humorous interactions. This is going to be garbage. It is only an hour and a half. We're okay.
Well, that's great.
So yeah, we have another bad film probably to look forward to.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love having bad films to look forward to.
But you know what? We've had a lot of lows, but the highs really make up.
The
for
highs are
lows.
really something, and this is.
The highs are really high, and the lows are really low.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
And
feel
the
like I'm in a
highs is sparse.
Sisyphean nightmare at the moment.
This was great. I liked this. It's my favourite
good
one
film.
so far.
Good film, good Jeff, good times. Country Radio 104.3.
And Jeff, my friend, because that one day will be something I could say that's true. How hot and sweaty was the fly makeup? That's what I want to know.
Probably about half as hot and sweaty as you are right now, mate.
Well, in which case, that's still too much. I can't express to you the amount of just like surface tension that's going on with the liquid on my body right now.
He did say the makeup made his eyes heavy, so do with that what you will.
Good to know. Thanks.
Thanks for
bud.
listening. Get in contact with the show if you want to at foreverinblum@gmail.com or at foreverinblum on Instagram. I don't think we said our names at the start, so I'm Liam.
I'm Seb.
Sorry. I always choke because I have to say my name. I'm Beth. Why do I...
That's Beth.
Why?
And if you could share the show with people, that really helps, and give us a rating on iTunes if you listen to it on there, or just listen on Spotify, because that really helps, and all of that sort of gumbo. It really means a lot if you could share it. Because, like you said, we are all going into the hole for currently very little response.
We're going deep into that hole next week. Let me tell you.
I didn't like the subtext of that. So goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening.